What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to be talking about a notebook. One that I think is trying to compete with the Traveler's Notebook. My opinion only, but that's what I think. Before we even get into it, I did not buy this notebook. It was sent to me from Couronne du Comte, free of charge. They did not pay me for my opinion, so everything that I talk about is my opinion only, and completely unbiased, honest opinion. So let's get into it. It is this guy right here. Quick and dirty. And the reason why I said this guy instead of actually pronouncing it is because when I did my unboxing of the shipment that I got from Couronne du Comte, I kind of got roasted in the comment section for not being able to pronounce this word. It's German. No idea. So just take a quick peek there so that you can see it. You can pause the video if you want to actually take the time to read it. It's guaranteed apparently for 17 years. So there's that. And it comes with 4 inserts, a blank, a dot, a lined, and a grid. It comes with this little rubber thing here, which I'll show you in a moment. I can't read anything else in the back. It just is 100% made in Germany, and it's lasted guaranteed for 17 years, which, to be honest, I would believe. This feels really well made to me. It's sort of not a plasticky finish. It's sort of like, how would I describe this? This is honestly, the reason why it's taken me so long to review this book is because I don't know how to describe the way that this notebook feels. It is a plastic, but it almost feels like slight rubber-ish. It's really hard to describe. It smells like rubber. And the reason why the notebook smells like rubber is because that is what the binding is made out of. So that little rubber piece that you see there is this. So this is optional. You put that on yourself. So following the directions, which actually I kept, basically you just loop it around one of the bindings and it becomes your like closure elastic. So you just kind of pop it like that. So it has little indentations, which is kind of nice. I like that feature a lot actually for where it goes. And it just kind of sits off of one of these rubber bands. So that's kind of cool. It did take me a second to be able to place it correctly. So it's not like a super complicated thing, but it did take me more than 5 seconds. The only identification on this notebook is this little logo here, an X with the 17 in the middle. I'm going to assume that that's their logo. It is on here, and I'm going to assume the 17 is because it's guaranteed for 17 years. So I like the design of this notebook. It feels like a meaty notebook. I mean, there are 4 inserts, so it does feel like a solid, substantial book. And even if you hold like just the edge here, like it doesn't flop around. It's well built, and I quite like that. It's A5 size. So I like that as well. And one of the things I didn't like about the Traveler notebooks is that they're like, they're missing like this chunk. They're really skinny, and I don't like that. I prefer having an A5 size. It's actually my favorite size. So I appreciate that this is a full proper size notebook. And I don't mind the rubber bindings to hold them in place. They have the same cutouts here. I've had this now for a few months, and it still kind of smells. Reminds me of walking into like a Canadian Tire or like something like that, or a Home Depot, and just like all you smell is tires. I get bad flashbacks. But this is pretty tight, which I like. My cat's spazzing. Big surprise. There's nothing fancy in here. It's just basic, same material here. You see that sort of compressed, like cardboardy type things. You get all of the different notebooks, and then the back is the same with the 17 logo. there's literally nothing in here other than the notebooks. So in between the notebooks is nothing. All of the notebooks are held by these rubber bands in the center of the notebooks. Very similar to the traveler's notebook. But theirs, of course, is held by rubber bands that you purchase as additional ones, not with these guys. You can remove inserts from here, but it's really meant to have 4. You can't add any more than 4, but I mean, it would be really bulky if you did. You can remove them, but then you're gonna have like, you know, this width here that is still gonna stay the same width. It just might like, you know, squeeze in here a little bit more. So it's really meant to have 4. You can have less if you choose to, and obviously you can remove this if you want as well. The inserts themselves are the weak point for me. So I appreciate the fact that they give you all 4. They give you a blank, a lined, a dot, and a grid, which is really thoughtful. I like the fact that they're black, but the paper is where it lacks, in my opinion, because it's not the greatest for fountain pens. And I'm gonna show you a close-up, you know, in a minute here, but basically, while there isn't any crazy bleeding, you do get a bit of ghosting, and you do get a little bit of feathering. So can you use it with fountain pens? 100%, but you're not gonna get the crisp lines that you desire. But one thing you can do is you can remove these inserts, because you can replace them just by essentially like opening the notebook up to the center here, pulling out the notebook, like literally slide them out, and you can put your own insert in. So this one here is something that you're all familiar with. It's what I use to do all of my writing samples in. This is the A5 insert from Goulet Pens, Tomoe River. So you can replace all of the inserts with your own, but then what are you gonna do with those 4, you know, notebooks there? Because that's, I'm assuming, the bulk of the cost. And in order to make it so that like the paper doesn't collapse on you, the little inserts here, and I'll move this, also have an indentation for where the rubber band goes so that it doesn't damage the paper. So if you're to use your own inserts, it will pull on the top of the paper, which isn't a huge deal. Eventually it's gonna create its own indentation. Theoretically, again, you could cut your own, but it's just more work for you down the line. So that's a good quick overview. Let's jump into the close-ups. All right, welcome to my kitchen table. So there we go. Sorry, my tripod leg is here. I still haven't gotten a new one. This thing's falling apart. So if we open this guy up here to the first page, I started doing the ink test page on here, and then I realized that this is actually sort of just a blank page. It's not the actual paper. So then I got really excited because I was like, ooh, maybe I'll have another chance. But it still gives you almost the same quality. I will zoom in here in a moment. I just want to give you kind of a general overview. So from farther away, it looks okay. When I get you that close up, you will see that it does feather a little bit, especially for whatever reason on the pre-filled red one. Obviously the Sharpie, that's like the downfall for pretty much any notebook. Pelikan does it quite a bit. It gets a little fuzzy around the edge of the line. And then clearly there's tons of show through. Obviously the Sharpie went completely through. It technically did bleed a tiny little spot on this side. But to be fair, it is a Sharpie and most people don't use it. This is Pilot Iroshizuku Soiro. I'm sorry guys. This is the J.Herbin Couronne something or other. I can't remember what that's called, but it's the brown shiny one. And this is Robert Oster Hippo. These definitely went through. This I was writing sort of my general thoughts. So I'm not really sure. It's not terrible paper, but I don't love it. It is fairly smooth, but it does have some tooth to the paper. It is on the more absorbent side, so you won't get a lot of that sheen or anything like that. You won't get a lot of shading. There's a small amount of bleed through, with a little bit of ghosting. The paper's decent, but the binding does sort of get in the way, and it kind of stinks. It is a different kind of essentially a traveler's notebook, in my opinion. And I said that I give it an overall rating of 6.5 out of 10, which I would still say, you know, is accurate, maybe closer to a 6 now that I've used it a little bit more. Then I just wrote a little bit more over here, just kind of testing out different nib sizes of the same pen. Just, you know, for funsies. And the more I used it, the more I realized I'm not a super fan of the texture. It's okay when you get like mediums and broads because they're smoother nibs in general, but when you get like the tooth of extra fines and fines, that's really when you start to notice the texture of the paper. And it definitely shows through. So it's got some things to be desired. You can really see it in the Pelican here. Sorry, my nail beds are terrible. Like it feathers a lot. And I really appreciate a crisp line, and this does not give you that. So the TWSBI did kind of almost bleed through. So this pen here is the Pilot Preppy, the 0.3, like I said, J.Herbin, Couronne something or other. This was like the best pen that I had to not have like any feathering. This is obviously Queco Sport. This is Lamy Aquamarine, Orange Indian, Sailor Kikyo, Manyo Kikyo, and this is Tassia Benatucci or something, I think it's called. Something like that. This is Sailor Manyo Kuzu and Pelican Olivine, I think it's called. So I'm just, you know, not a super huge fan of this. I think if you were to get this, I don't know. If you were to get it really, I think like you'd have to replace the inserts and or just be okay with fuzzy lines. So overall, would I recommend it? Probably not for fountain pen users, but for anyone else, I think it would be great. But I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know in the comment section down below. Does this seem like something you'd be interested in? Have you used this notebook before? And if you have, did you have the same experience I did? Guys, I appreciate you watching. Hit that like button if you've liked it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.